conduct to be one of the
So, what do you know about Hisbah?
Hisbah, what's that?
And do you know about ethics?
Ethics. For me, ethics is our moral conduct.
Do you know what is Hisbah?
What's that?
So, do you know about ethics?
I know ethics. Ethics is our moral code or moral compass that guides our behavior.
So, do you know about Hisbah? Do you know about ethics? Do you know about Hisbah?
I'm not sure what
So, what about ethics?
So I think, from what I understand, ethics is some standard of living of people in the society. So what is right, what is wrong.
So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, before we go deep to what is Hisbah, first we need to know the reason why Hisbah exists at the first place. People by their nature need order in their life, and as a result, they are in need of an authority to ensure that order. Because of this, there must be someone to remind the people of this order and to check how well they are adhering to it. One of the means by which this is achieved in Muslim communities especially is the institutions of Hisbah, or what we call as Office of the Ombudsman. The Hisbah is an important institution that is in charge of commanding good and forbidding evil, as well as monitoring the marketplace, craftsmanship, manufacturing concerns to make sure that business ethics are upheld by these entities and quality standards are maintained. Generally, Hisbah can be seen as an example of how Shara, based on the Quran and Hadith, is being put into practice based on Surah Al-Imran, verse 104.
وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَأُولَئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ.
When it comes to the definitions, Ibn Manzur said that the word Hisbah is derived from the word ihtisaba, meaning that hoping to obtain goodness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ihtisab also means examining carefully, supervising, stopping, and abstaining from doing mistakes. On the other hand, Al-Zubaydi suggests that Hisbah is derived from the word husban, which translates to judgment, while Al-Sunami defines Hisbah in two meanings: counting and guarding against. The term Hisbah is not found in the Quran directly, but was popularized by Islamic scholars like Abu Hassan al-Mawardi, Imam al-Ghazali, Ibn Taymiyyah, and Ibn Khaldun. According to al-Mawardi, Hisbah is enjoining what is right when it is found to be neglected and forbidding what is wrong when it is found to be practiced. Al-Ghazali described Hisbah as a comprehensive expression for the duty of enjoining the good and forbidding evil and improving the living standards of people. When Islam promotes about Hisbah, the Western also has the similar thing, what we call as ethics. Somehow we call this as a moral philosophy, in which it is the discipline concerned with what is morally good and bad, and morally right and wrong. The term is also applied to any system or theory of moral value or principle. Ethics deal with such questions at all levels. Its subjects consist of fundamental issues of practical decision making, and its major concerns include the nature of ultimate value and the standards by which human actions can be judged right or wrong. In here, we can understand that Hisbah is the thing that we prevent the evil and join the good, while ethic is about something that we judge between right or wrong. The next one is about the history of the institution of Hisbah. Actually, the first person to have practiced the function of Hisbah in the history of Islamic civilization was none other than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our Prophet. Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu narrated that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed by a pile of dates and put his hand in it until he felt his fingers wet. He asked the owner regarding the wet dates. The owner replied that it became wet due to the rain. Rasulullah asked him again why he put them on the top of the pile so people can see them. Then Rasulullah further said, "The one who cheats is not of me." And it is interesting to note that some books state that Sa'id ibn al-As was appointed as the first mustasib in Medina, and Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu was appointed in Mecca. According to some Muslim historians, Prophet Mohamed used the Hisbah system as a key tool for reform, leading them to view him as the first mustasib, which is the official responsible for overseeing the Hisbah institution. When Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu became the caliph, he maintained his position as a mutasib in Makkahul Mukarramah. Ibn Salam notes in his work in Kitab al-Amwal the first recorded reference to a designated official for Hisbah during the reign of the Caliph Umar bin Khattab, identifying Sa'id bin Yazid was holding the title of Amil al-Suq, which is the market inspector. After the time of the Prophet, the function of Hisbah was also carried out by the four caliphs and sometimes by the governors, in addition to individual designated as Amil al-Suq. We can know that the Hisbah is a system or institution that promotes good and discourages wrongdoing in the context of economic and commercial activities with the goal of upholding justice and righteousness in the Muslim communities. The Hisbah system continued also throughout the Umayyad Caliphate, and it was only during the Abbasid Caliphate that the term Muhtasib was used, while the information available about the role of Amil al-Suq from the early days of Islam until the Abbasid period is quite limited. However, following the Abbasid rise to power in 749 Common Era, there is a greater clarity in detail in the historical account of the social and economic activities of Hisbah. The Umayyad dynasty later established itself in the Al-Andalus region and created a role similar to Amil al-Suq, called Sahib al-Suq, meaning that market officer, which was primarily focused on regulation and administration of the market rather than addressing issues of public morality. As for the qualification of the mutasib must be learned and well-versed with the Quran and the Sunnah. He or she must be able to distinguish right from wrong and able to make spot decisions. And third, a judge who protects the interests of the people. And the last one, the mutasib must be wise to make a decision based on a particular situation and not use a blanket decision. For the next part, I'm going to explain about the functions of the mutasibs. So the main duties of the mutasib is to oversee urban administrations and maintain the peace of the city. And this can be divided into three areas of their focus. The first one is to maintain the conditions and functionality of the public facilities like clean water supply, malls, public buildings, mosques, and others. Al-Mutasib has the authority to request financial support from the Treasury Department to improve these facilities. And the second thing is about Al-Mutasib is responsible for resolving disputes between neighborhoods that do not involve legal interpretation, whereas legal matters must be taken to court for Qadi decisions. Al-Mutasib handles simple disputes such as those involving the construction of a building or the installation of the roof that extends onto the property of a neighbor. While the third part about Al-Mutasib is responsible for cases involving the provision of alimony to family members, the delay of debt repayment by capable individuals, the acceptance of wills and the practice of wadi'ah, the marriage of widows, the care of slaves, market regulation, the supervision of boarders and kindergarten teachers, etc. From the perspective of the Islamic scholars, The first one, I'm going to explain about Imam al-Mawardi from his book Al-Ahkam al-Sultaniyah, and he mentions that the duty for enjoining good and forbidding evil falls under the Muhtasib, and he is empowered to intervene to provide an institutional perspective on the issues. The government should focus on a grey area, not limited to economic law only. And there are two methods with Hisbah circumvents the law cause. The first one responsible for enjoining good and forbidding evil. Second one, the system that will imperative power for a just matter. For enjoining the good, he defined good from the perspective of right and responsibilities, in which he divided the right into three different categories: divine right, rights of human being, and both divine and human right. And he viewed right as a responsibility towards others. For the preventing evil, he approached the concept of wrong in terms of reprehensibility and blameworthiness, and identified three main categories of action that should be forbidden. Those that are a duty towards God, those are a duty towards other human, those that are duty towards both God and human. Imam al-Ghazali in his book Ihya Ulumuddin, he viewed that the government is only limited to that of a guardian and administrator of the civil society. Never mentioned Hisbah as an institution, and he focused on the responsibility of individuals on enjoining good and forbidding evil. For enjoining the good, he identified what can enhance the value of goodness. Value of goodness is connected to self-restraint in consuming good and services, and he classified value of goodness into four classes. The first stage is turning from consumers goods that are prohibited by Sharia. Second stage, the doubtful thing that are avoided. The third stage, avoid consuming good that may cause something prohibited. And the last stage is about refraining from even lawful things. For preventing the evil, he listed out three criteria for individuals to prevent evil. The first one, knowing the action is wrong, having taqwa, and the third one, exhibiting good behavior. He also expressed concern regarding the abuse of social and religious duties. As for the third scholar, Ibn Khaldun, in his book Al-Muqaddimah, he views that the institution of Hisbah has a purely religious obligations, the duty of rulers or the government to enjoin good and prohibit evils, and also the power and authority of the institution of Hisbah come from the Caliph. And he believed that the institution of Hisbah should be directly involved in every socio-economic issues. In terms of enjoining good, he stated the importance of Sabiyah that could be translated into a unity, social integration, and a sense of a belonging. And the concept of Sabiyah is crucial for the establishment of a civilized society. And it's crucial that people come together and promote social integrations. In terms of preventing the evil, he viewed that Hisbah should enter the market and society to identify and address any issues. Hisbah also should focus on actions to address those that have potential to harm or destroy the society. Ibn Taymiyyah, in his book Al-Hisbah fi al-Islam, he mentioned that the principle of enjoining good and preventing evil is a fundamental aspect of governance, and the Muhtasib is specifically responsible for regulating the market forces and ensuring the general public complies to the religious commands. He advocated the use of Islamic legal theory as a guide to carry out responsibilities, and the punishment should also be conducted by the institution of Hisbah. While for enjoining the good, he believed that the value of good action should be judged based on the consequences, and he asserted that the public needs should be a sacred obligation and the worshipping act is the most important aspect. The last part about preventing evil is that the weight of forbidding a wrong action in terms of gratification and affection should also be contemplated, and his theory on the differences between good and bad action and whether they should be required or prohibited is based on the balance of gratification and afflictions. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about the contemporary issues of Hisbah and sustainability. So for this first issue is about the competition in conventional enforcement management system, in which that when compared to conventional between Islam, there are vastly different in many aspects, particularly in its theory and practices. And for the second issue is about difficulty in contending against the increase of social problems and crime, in which that law enforcement institutionally considered ineffective or not functioning if social problems continue to increase. For example, rape, gambling, drinking alcohol, etc. The third one is about the problem of integrity of law enforcement officials, as the officers did not carry out their responsibilities with trustworthiness and transparency. There are misconduct, betrayal, bribery, and so on. For the first one is about the influence of Western ideology and socio-economic system that has led to the criminalization of law enforcement based on secularism in guiding human life, particularly in relation to the economy. While we are talking about the issues, we also need to tackle with the solutions. So these are the solutions that can help to solve the issues within the Hisbah and also to promote sustainability. Thank you.